Hi, this is Jim Jubileer with Jubileer Results Group, and I'd like to welcome you to First Fridays, Discover Your Why. Once in a great while, something revolutionary comes along that is so powerful that it alters the way we view the world. It changes our lens. Those of us that adopt it and use it find ourselves transformed on a personal and professional basis. The Discover Your Why work, which we're going to cover in a 4-part series, is like that. It's very powerful, it's very popular, and many people are getting a lot of value from it. And I'm eager to share it with you. KnowYourWhy.com is a website where we're housing a lot of this information, and following this call, you'll get access to resources. And so we're going to give you a lot of tools and information, and today's call is just the first step in that process. We have a multi-part series planned for you. Simon Sinek is a speaker and an author, and he wrote a book called Start With Why that became the second most viewed TED Talk. It's very, very popular. And my colleague and business partner, Gary Sanchez, is a practicing dentist in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and his why is to find a better way. And he went to Simon and said, "Oh, I like your thinking. Let me turn this into a system." And so they worked together for a while, and Gary has developed a system which we now call Know Your Why, or Express Your Why, Discover Your Why. And I'm going to walk you through it. To begin with, it's important that you understand a little bit about brain biology, neuroscience, how we're actually hardwired. When you were little, you were a baby, before you could talk, and you were hungry, what did you do? You cried. What happened? You got picked up and you got fed. So we start to establish these connections at a very young age. It's pre-verbal, it's subconscious. It's the middle of the night and you're wet or you're afraid. What do? You cry. What happens? Hopefully you get picked up. And you start to make more connections that crying equals success. Then what happens? You start to grow up a little bit, and maybe you go to preschool, or you have siblings, or you have parents, and you are encountering situations where you realize crying is not the way you're going to get your needs met. And you have to develop other strategies, patterns, beliefs in order to accomplish what you want and get what you need. And that is what we call your why. So you have a want or a need. There's a way you express yourself in order to achieve that outcome. What your why is the way you're wired. It's a survival mechanism that you adopted and developed from a young age when you were pre-verbal. Importantly, it's an expression of your belief system. In November and December, I'm going to walk you through a 2-part series called Express Your Why. And in the Express Your Why workshop, we teach you how to establish your beliefs and how to communicate them to internal stakeholders like your employees and to external stakeholders like customers. And so we'll spend some time working on beliefs. Most importantly, your why is what motivates your behavior. It comes from a very deep place. Your neocortex, which is the frontal lobe, is what controls thinking. We use words and we use spreadsheets and we communicate. And that's the language of the neocortex, or what is sometimes thought of as the left brain. The right brain uses pictures, images, feelings, emotions to actually cause action to happen. And that comes from our limbic system, which is more of our older brain that formed before the neocortex did. And so that's why we say your why is hardwired. It's not what you think, it's not what you want to believe, it's not what you think should happen, it's how you feel literally in your brain biology as far as how the world works. And we're going to see some specific examples of that. The benefits of knowing your why are improved focus, having increased energy, more passion and purpose. And this is one of my favorites. Lots of people want to have more time, or they want to be more effective with their time. But there's no such thing as time management. We all have the same God-given 24 hours a day, no matter what. You have it, I have it, every single person on this call has it. So rather than thinking it as time management, we ought to call it focus management or attention management. In other words, what we pay attention to is what we focus on, and those are the results we get. And if we focus more on our higher value activities, if we focus on the things we're passionate about, that drive us, that we're good at, we're going to get better results, but in the same amount of time. One of the components of that is to learn how to say no. You have to get much better at learning how to say no to non-critical people, tasks, and situations. I'm a certified why guy, and in that capacity, I'm sharing with you this material. In another capacity, I'm a certified Gazelles coach. Gazelles is the coaching framework developed by Verne Harnish, who wrote a book called Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. And in that capacity, I'm one of about 125 people worldwide that Verne has certified to teach his material. And you'll be hearing more about that as we get later into the fall. In the Gazelles work, we make our clients, or we invite our clients, we don't make anybody do anything. We invite our clients to develop a list. It's actually 3 parts to the list. There's a starts, what do I need to start doing? A keeps, what do I need to keep doing that's currently working well? And most importantly, a stops list. What do I need to stop doing? And I can guarantee you that creating the start and the keep is much harder than the stop. So figuring out what you're going to say no to is going to vastly increase your time and your energy. And when you know your why, it's easier to say no to those non-core tasks, opportunities, and people. What I'd like to do now, I had pre-selected a volunteer. Carla, if you're free and can unmute your line and hop on, just say hi to everybody.
Hello, this is Carla.
And if you don't mind, keep talking a little bit. But everybody else, if you type in the chat box, if you can hear Carla. So Carla, keep talking.
I'm sitting in my office in Leesburg, Virginia, and it's a beautiful sunny day, a little humid, but gorgeous.
Great. Well, welcome. Carla, I'd like to know if you would like to discover your why.
Yes, I am looking forward to it.
So this will be a short conversation. It can be 5 minutes. For some people, it's 15 minutes. There's no right or wrong answers. It's just a conversation, and it's a way to help you get clearer about what drives you. So if it's okay with you, I just want to ask you a few simple questions.
Sure.
So can you tell me a time at work, sometime in the last couple of weeks that involved a specific another person where you felt particularly successful?
Okay, and it has to be recent?
It doesn't have to be. It can be from further past. When we deal with things that are more recent, we're dealing with stuff that's more in our immediate memory, but just something that stands out.
Okay. So I had a client, and I was a consultant to him and a team of people in support of a major government initiative. And I had been working with him for about a year and a half. And he came to me one day, and it just, just to tell me how appreciative he was of my support, and to thank me for helping him get a pretty high-level promotion that he had been working towards for, quite a while. And, I mean, that was awesome. It was awesome. It was heartfelt. He wrote me a letter as well afterwards. It just felt really good.
What about that made you feel successful?
That he took the time to come see me and show his appreciation. His words, which I remember to this day, were, Carla, I couldn't have done it without you.
And why was that? Go ahead.
Like I was going to say, and just hearing that, was fabulous. It validated everything that I have been doing all along, in support of his work, in support of the team. In this particular instance, he was appreciating me for, helping him get that promotion.
And why was that important to you?
Because I like to see someone succeed. When he came on board, he was, fairly new to program and project management, which is the support that I was giving him. And, awfully smart, hardworking, just really all-around great guy. And, the competition for these positions, was tight. And, just to see him get there and to know that I had a part in that was very gratifying.
Awesome. So, Carla, what I'd like you to do now is tell me a brief story about something outside of work. It's a situation involving another person that occurred recently that made you feel particularly successful.
Okay, what comes to mind is I was on the phone with my mom recently, and she actually lives in Honduras, which is where I grew up. And she's been ill for quite some time, and we were on the phone. She's been feeling better, and she, there was a silence, during our conversation, and she just said, Carla, I want you to know how much I love you, and thank you for all the help that you've given me over these years that I've been ill. It means a lot to me. And, and once again, that was, it brought tears to my eyes. because it's been a pretty long, hard battle with her illness, and trying, and helping long distance added an additional difficulty. So, that meant a lot to me.
Yeah, thank you for that. So what about that made you feel successful?
Well, I had been, providing a lot of direction and suggestions and coordinating with doctors and family and fielding people's, opinions, because, some family members thought that we should do this or that, and so I was constantly doing that, talking to people, trying to get their buy-in for what I was proposing, and in the end, and there were some, struggles in the middle, but in the end, people agreed that we should take a certain, course of action with respect to her treatment, etc. And so that, working with people and helping them to see, the pros and cons of what was in front of us and how that would benefit my mom. It was important to have their buy-in, their support.
So as you think about the two stories you've shared with us, and thank you for your honesty and candidness in sharing with us. When you think of those two stories that you've shared with us, as you think about what you've done, was it more important for you to figure out the right solution and kind of follow it step by step, or was it more important to you to make that personal connection with the people involved?
Well, I think in the end, it's about the people. It's about connecting. It's about, gaining the respect and the collaboration, so we can, achieve something together.
So if somebody betrays your trust, does that feel like a knife in your stomach, or is it more like just a hassle?
Oh, it's like a knife in my stomach. Yeah.
Right. So do you feel successful when you create relationships built on trust?
Yeah, I do. I think trust is very important.
And if you had to follow something that was kind of step by step, but it involved maybe violating somebody's trust versus really doing whatever was needed, but in order to maintain that relationship, which would you choose?
I want to keep the relationship. Because I
Right.
think that when you have somebody's trust, when you have a close relationship with someone, you can always go back and discuss things and come up with other solutions. So yeah, it's about the relationship.
Your why is to create relationships built on trust.
Hi.
Does that how does that feel?
Wow, that feels right. It's
Awesome.
like I just said, it's about the relationship, it's about the trust. So yeah,
Right.
that is spot on.
Fantastic. Well, we appreciate you serving as a guinea pig today, and if you don't mind muting again, I'd like to share with everybody what just happened.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Carla. So what we've done in the why movement is have developed a language, a pattern language, to help people figure out what their why is. So I want to explain to you how we do that. To begin with, you may have noticed I followed a script. Tell me about an incident that happened in the last couple of weeks that involved another person that made you feel particularly successful. What about this made you feel successful, and why was that important to you? And Carla shared with us two stories about getting results. You heard her talk about, I got results for the guy, I got results for my mom. But she wasn't motivated by getting results. Some people's why are about getting results. And in a minute, I'll talk to you about the language of how and not the language of why. For a lot of people, we're confused about the difference between the why we do it and the how we do it. I'm a leadership coach at Duke, and I teach in their executive education programs in addition to my business coaching. And in that capacity, and also as a business coach, I use style personality assessments like DISC, which some of you may be familiar with, and what my partners at Duke have created, the 6 domains of leadership. I can tell most people's DISC style just by looking at them or talking with them. But I have no idea what your why is. Your why is like a deep river that runs underground, hidden from sight. And through this short interview, we generate stories that help us bring that to light. So your why may be the hidden river running underneath the ground, but how you go about what you do is frequently very visible. So how Carla went about her stories were she used her expertise, she consulted other people, she made suggestions, she made recommendations. Her how was pretty clear, but only through this discovery process are we able to shine light on the why. So let's talk more about how we do that. There was one particular question where I revealed her why to her, but without saying I was doing that. I asked her, do you feel successful when you create relationships built on trust? And she said, yes. Now, we're all on the phone, so you can't see it as well, but when it's in person, what we're looking for is the bobblehead. A person's head just goes up and down, and like we totally hit the spot. Sometimes I say, do you feel successful when? And I insert their why. And they kind of look at me like, well, I don't know, kind of, maybe. You can tell right away whether you got it right or not. And if I didn't get it right, I ask additional clarifying questions. So the reveal question is very important to help us make sure we're on track. Now, some of you are listening, and I know who some of you are because I've already done your why, and you're like, of course, anytime someone betrays your trust, it's like a knife in the gut. What a stupid question. Everybody feels that way. But I've done dozens of whys, and many times I get, oh, well, I'd be upset, but that would be like an irritation. It wouldn't be like a knife in the gut. But for the people whose why is about creating trust, it's like a knife in the gut. And sometimes people won't even let me finish the question. They say, oh, of course, I'd never speak to that person again. So the real why pops through from these questions. But how? How do we make this so effective? That's because we have already developed the language of the 9 whys. The first why, and it's not like first, it's just a list here of 9. There's no particular order to this list. One of the whys is to contribute to a cause greater than your own, to make a difference and to add value to others. That happens to be my why. The next why is to create relationships based on trust. That's Carla's why. Some of you are sense makers, especially if things are complex or complicated. Another why is to find a better way. And my partner, Gary Sanchez, is a better way kind of guy. And he went to Simon Sinek and said, like your talk, I'm going to turn it into a system. And Simon said, go for it. And Gary's why is to then share that. And we've been working together for a couple of years, and it's turned into the system that I'm sharing with you now. The next why is the person that's more step-by-step, doing the right things the right way. They're the people that you want writing your HR policy manual, computer programmers, people where a high attention to detail matters. On the other hand, we have the Steve Jobs of the world to think differently and challenge the status quo, out-of-the-box thinkers. We might want our CEO to have this why, but we might not want our COO to have this why, because they're going to feel that they're going to be all over the map, and you kind of don't want that necessarily from the COO. Another why are the people who are researchers. They're studiers. They're lifelong students. They're more about mastery than they are about relationships or results. The next why is to clarify or to create clarity. Do you know what I mean? No, really, do you know what I mean? So I'm making a joke here. We find that there aren't that many people who have this why, but you know them when you meet them. You know what I mean? So literally every other sentence is making sure that they're getting heard, that they're clarifying, that you're clear or that they're clear. You know what I mean? So we know those people when we encounter them. And finally, also not as many people, but definitely some, are people who like to simplify. They like to take something complicated. It's different than a sense maker. They always want to boil it down to its essence. And so we have created this pattern language, these archetypes of the 9 whys. And that's how, through the interview, we can help people discover what their why is. Now, there's more to it than that. Some of you may say, well, what do you mean there's 9, and I don't just want to be in one box? At this point, we've done thousands of these why discoveries, and we find that once people understand the language of their why, for some people, things make incredible sense instantly. When my mentor and the guy who's frequently involved with this work, Ridgely Goldsboro, did my why, it changed my life. It was like I was lit on fire for 2 or 3 months. It helped clarify. It's like the feeling was there, but until I heard it said to me, it didn't spark me, and it was very transformational. So many people have that experience. Other people are so connected to how they do what they do, it takes a while for them to really come to terms with why they do what they do. So the way that works is your why is your unique gift. And we're going to spend some more time next month on the how you do what you do, how you express it, how that passion gets shown. And as I said earlier, we frequently can connect to our how easier than our why. Then and only then do we get into our what. And our what is simply what we do. If I follow you around with a video camera all day, I write contracts, I coach people, I make presentations, I make travel plans. It's just literally the what of what I do. One of the key takeaways I'd like to leave you with from this particular webinar is if I come around and follow your salespeople, or if I watch you in an important meeting, much of the time you'll be spending talking about what's happening, what the features of your product are, what the benefits of your service are, and very little on how you do what you do, and probably no time on why you do what you do. But people buy because of your why. We do business with people we know, like, and trust. And who do we trust? People that believe what we believe. Well, how do we know what we believe? How do we know what they believe? We have to tell them. And we're going to cover that in November and December when we talk about express your why. We have a whole system that has been built about how to express your why using a language of belief statements and creeds and an elevator pitch. When you know your why and how you express it and what the specifics are of what you do, it really helps you connect to your passion. And passion is the fuel that gives you the energy to pursue your dreams. You need that energy, you need that fuel to overcome the inevitable obstacles that will occur, particularly in the pursuit of big goals. In closing, I'd just like to give you the context for the entire why system. The personal why, the internal journey, focuses on what we did today, the why discovery, how you do, and what you do. We also do this in a team setting in a workshop where all the members of the company come together and lay out their why, how, what in a matrix that's put up on the wall so we can see what motivates people as well as what they're good at. The business why, which is covered in the business workshop and in the Express Your Why workshop, covers a broader area of focus, not only the why, how, what of the team, but the vision and the core values of the company, who they want to be working with, what they want, and how to express it to them. So these are the pieces of content we'll be covering in the next 3 modules. So we're about at the bottom of the hour. I promised you 27 minutes a month to break through results. I'm going to stay on afterwards, and the chat window will be open. But to close, I'd like to give you a gift. In the email you'll receive, along with the copy of the slides, if any of you would like to discover your why, I've included a link to my calendar, and you can grab a complimentary 30-minute time slot, and we'll go through a conversation just like we did with Carla, and I will help you discover your why. We believe we're on a mission to spread this across the world, that the more people that understand their why, the more they can live their life purpose and accomplish more and contribute more to the world. So I'm happy to help you discover your why. So thank you very much for participating today. You'll get a follow-up email later today, and I invite you to discover your why. So this is Jim Jubileer, Jubileer Results Group. Thanks for joining First Fridays.